Grace Buckingham's footsteps echoed with frantic urgency as she slipped into Il Giardino, the dusky trattoria, where shadows clung to the stucco walls like memories too painful to confront directly, and found Deacon Sharp sitting alone at a corner table, nursing a neat glass of amaretto. Her heart pounded at the enormity of what she had to ask. No mere favor this time, but a lifeline that would free her from the web of Bill Spencer's vengeance and allow her to vanish into obscurity with a new identity. She slid into the chair opposite him, the amber lamplight catching in her eyes as she whispered her plea, a fresh passport, untraceable, bearing her new name and a blank slate to outrun the consequences of her failed medical coup and the exposure she feared would destroy both her life and her precious research. Deacon studied her, the lines of his face softening with compassion at the sight of a woman he had come to care for deeply, but his compassion was tempered by the knowledge that nothing in this dangerous game was free. He leaned forward, voice low and resolute. He would secure her the passport she needed, but only if she delivered to him the Cactus cipher, the offshore account codes Bill Spencer used to funnel bribes into the pockets of crooked officials who had once looked the other way as Grace's clandestine clinic skirted every regulation. With those numbers in hand, Deacon could expose Bill's corruption at the highest levels or use the accounts himself as leverage to protect his own family from Bill's ever-encroaching power. Grace, torn between fear and fierce resolve, agreed on the spot, her pulse echoing in her temples as she realized that to barter the Cactus cipher meant stealing from the man who had the resources to destroy her. That very night, under the cover of darkness and armed with a forged access badge and Deacon's whispered instructions, Grace infiltrated the Spencer Publications headquarters, the sleek skyscraper whose mirrored facade glinted in the moonlight like a fortress built of glass and steel. She navigated the labyrinthine corridors with the precision of someone who understood the stakes. In the secure files room, where biometric scanners guarded every folder, she overrode the sensor with a stolen thumbprint clone. A trick she had learned from a mercenary contact she regretted hiring on a darker night. Her gloved fingers danced across the keyboard as she located the hidden database labeled Offshore Operations, then extracted the cryptic sequence of numbers known only to insiders as the Cactus cipher. As she downloaded the encrypted file onto a flash drive, a dull alarm hummed to life, red lights slicing through the darkness like warning blades, and she froze, heart-lurching. She jammed the drive into her pocket and sprinted down the corridors, every footstep a gamble, aware that security cameras had already detected the breach. Bill Spencer, informed by a state-of-the-art surveillance system, arrived at the headquarters at full sprint, his face a mask of rage so fierce it threatened to scorch the polished floors. He barked orders into his phone, summoning every guard in the building as he tore through the halls, and in that moment of crisis, he realized with cold clarity that Grace Buckingham had crossed a line that transformed her from pawn to predator. She now held the very evidence that could unravel his empire of publications, vineyards, luxury real estate, and family reputation. Bill knew he could not allow the Cactus cipher to see the light of day. He cornered Grace just as she reached the service elevator, its doors humming shut in contemptuous defiance, and snatched the flash drive from her trembling hand. As he crushed the device beneath his heel, shards of plastic scattering like broken promises, he delivered a chilling proclamation to his loyal son Wyatt, who had arrived seconds later, drawn by the alarms. "If I have to burn down all of Los Angeles to find her, I will," he snarled, the fire of his vow burning brighter than the studio lights in every news broadcast that would carry his threat across the nation. Grace's eyes watered with a mixture of relief and dread as she realized that, even with the Cactus cipher back in Bill's possession, the threat against her life had only multiplied. She was now a marked woman under the full force of a man with infinite resources and a vengeful heart. As Bill summoned security to throw Grace off the premises, he instructed Wyatt to mobilize his private investigators, legal teams, and paid informants throughout the city, promising that no hideout, no safe house would remain off limits, and that every ally of Grace would feel the squeeze of his wrath. Grace fled the building into the night, her mind ablaze with regret at having underestimated Bill's reach, and made her way, her steps unsteady but determined, to a prearranged rendezvous with Deacon at an abandoned boathouse on the marina, where he had promised to deliver the forged passport. Deacon appeared in the diffuse glow of a single lantern, his face etched with concern, and Grace collapsed into his arms, whispering her terror as she handed over the battered deep-sea green flash drive containing a duplicate of the encrypted Cactus cipher she had copied in the panic of the Spencer headquarters. Deacon accepted the drive and, without hesitation, handed her a slim envelope embossed with the official emblem of a Pacific Island nation, the new passport, stamped and waiting, alongside a plane ticket that would carry her across multiple time zones before depositing her in anonymity. Yet as she examined the details, Grace saw the cost written in the fine print. Deacon's price included not only the Cactus cipher, but a future favor that would bind her to him forever, a debt of silence that would hang over her more onerously than any indictment Bill could deliver. In the quiet murmur of waves against the pilings, Deacon reminded her of the stakes. Bill Spencer would never stop hunting her until he had either destroyed her or forced her into exile indefinitely, and once she boarded that flight, she would exist as a ghost in his world, powerless to defend Liam's interests or the vulnerable souls who still depended on her research. Grace swallowed hard, aware that her decisions in the coming hours would determine not only her fate, but the futures of every person tied to the explosive secrets of the Cactus cipher and Bill Spencer's unrelenting empire. As dawn broke over the marina, the lines between ally and adversary, between survival and surrender, had blurred beyond recognition, and Grace Buckingham realized that the war for her life, and for the soul of Los Angeles itself, had truly begun. Luna Nozawa's untimely passing has left every heart in Los Angeles trembling, a tragedy that exposed the fragile underpinnings of parenthood and cast a harsh spotlight on Poppy Nozawa's well-meaning but disastrously flawed decisions, on Bill Spencer's opportunistic meddling that both endangered and then miraculously spared Luna's life, and ultimately on the cruel finality of fate that left Luna gone forever. Finn Finnegan, usually the steadfast rock in a storm, finds himself unmoored by a grief that defies explanation, not just mourning the teenager he never truly knew, but lamenting the cruel derailment of his daughter's short life and the tragic finale he never imagined. In the corridors of Forrester Creations and beneath the vaulted ceilings of Spencer Publications, whispers swirl. Would Luna be alive had Poppy fought harder for her daughter's bonds with Finn? Would Bill have refrained from treating Luna like a liability if his paternal heart had swayed him toward tenderness rather than control? And now that Luna's body lies in a cold grave, conversation turns to a mother abandoned by her own mental turmoil, a father racked by regret, and a community left pleading for answers that death can no longer provide. Yet amidst this sea of sorrow, one sentiment gleams with unexpected warmth. Steffi Forrester's tentative gratitude towards Sheila Carter, the very woman whose past transgressions have tormented the Forrester family for decades. Once, Steffi's name trembled on Sheila's lips as a target, just as Taylor Hayes, Brooke Logan, and even Stephanie Forrester stood in the crosshairs of Sheila's darkest impulses. Now, Sheila has risked everything, her fragile reputation, her tenuous new life beside Deacon Sharp, to save Steffi's daughter Kelly from drowning, to warn Finn and Steffi of Luna's dangerous unraveling, and to deliver a protective shield Steffi never expected from the grandmother who once aimed her gun at her. In the hushed confines of the Forrester boardroom, Steffi admitted to Hope Logan that Sheila's latest misfortune, losing another toe to complications from her heart ailment, as Deacon revealed, has stirred a conflict within her. The unaccustomed warmth of gratitude toward a woman she has every reason to fear and despise. Deacon, with a soldier's pride, extolled Sheila's heroism, recounting how she raced to Malibu when her calls were ignored, how she plunged into the surf to retrieve Kelly from the backwash's sting, and how, without Sheila's relentless intervention, Steffi's family might have been torn apart by another unspeakable tragedy. His words laid bare a simple truth. Within that sliver of time, Sheila was shield, nurse, and savior roles that stand in stark opposition to the child-snatching, scheming villainess of yesteryear. Yet Steffi's inner conflict is understandable. Sheila's redemption arc, as compelling as it seems, is set against a tapestry of violence, gunshots that riddled Taylor, Brooke, Finn, and Steffi herself, kidnappings, poisonings, and manipulations that built a legacy of terror within the Forrester clan. How can Steffi reconcile the monument of cruelty with these finer shades of heroism? It seems Brad Bell himself is determined to grant Sheila full absolution, to thrust her back into the fold through every contrivance, from pairing her with Deacon to making her wait tables at Il Giardino, yet even saving Kelly, or averting Luna's fatal drift, has not fully muted the echoes of Sheila's crimes. And so the question hovers, can Steffi ever truly forgive the unforgivable? Still, a subtle current of possibility flows beneath the drama. Finn and Steffi both sense a shift, an unspoken recognition that, however begrudging, Sheila and Deacon Sharp have forsaken their illicit pasts and clung to a path of genuine atonement. Sheila's promise to maintain distance, except when a daughter or granddaughter's life was at stake, has been kept. No calls, no entreaties for inclusion, only the fleeting distress signals that heralded threats against Steffi, Kelly, and Finn. In this, Sheila has demonstrated a respect for boundaries that belies her former recklessness, and Steffi quietly acknowledges that a guarded rapprochement might be preferable to outright estrangement. Small steps now seem possible, perhaps a word of thanks over coffee at Deacon's, a brief embrace in the gallery foyer, an unhurried visit from Sheila at Steffi's designer studio. Over time, these cautious gestures could unfurl into a tenuous détente, one where Steffi might allow Sheila to meet Hayes, the infant whose coups once summoned unimaginable dread, and to rebuild, brick by forgiveness-tinged brick, a relationship that feels both foreign and necessary. Yet Steffi need not rush. The path to redemption is long, and Sheila's shame runs deep. Only when Sheila proves, day by day, that her savior role extends beyond a single heroic act will Steffi's defenses truly lower. Imagine the scene. Sheila, hesitant but hopeful, brings Finn homemade tamales on a crisp morning, or makes a subtle donation to the foundation Steffi launched to aid mental health survivors, or quietly removes a strand of hair from Hayes's cheek as he naps. These modest overtures, simple kindnesses that ripple outward, might begin to soften Steffi's resolve, forging trust that time and consistency can cement. Meanwhile, Finn and Hope, having navigated their own fraught journeys with parental forgiveness, Hope's tentative healing with her father Deacon, understand the potency of a parent's love and the power of second chances. Brooke Logan, an erstwhile nemesis of Sheila's, now counts Deacon as co-caretaker to Kelly, proof that alliances can shift and animosities melt under shared purpose. This mosaic of relationships, the Lucky Logan sisters, the Forrester siblings, the Spencer Sharp clan, stands on a precipice where old grudges bow to new vulnerabilities, and the promise of redemption looms as an uncharted horizon. In this crucible, Sheila Carter finds the raw materials of her own salvation, each act of bravery or compassion forging a new identity beneath the armor of her past. If she can sustain this transformation, if her future is not derailed by relapse into violence, perhaps she will earn the quiet place in Finn's home she has long sought. And if Steffi, in her own time, can see beyond the specter of a mother-in-law turned assassin to the woman who stood between her and death, then Sheila's journey toward forgiveness may indeed reshape the tapestry of the bold and the beautiful forever. A testament to the complexity of human hearts, the endurance of hope, and the unending quest for redemption in a world where yesterday's sins cast the longest shadows.